Hi guys, this is Navya Sharma. I am a core committee member of CodeChef-VIT and today's webinar will be on Introduction to Backend Development. So we'll wait for people to join. I'll be starting the video as soon as the people join. So guys, can you hear me? I would like to know if I am audible. Okay, so I'll be starting this webinar now. So I'll do my introduction again. I'm Navya Sharma, a core committee member of CodeChef-VIT, and this webinar is on Introduction to Backend Development. So in this webinar, we'll be learning about what is backend, what are APIs, and how to create a basic simple server using Node.js. So I'll be starting with it. So we all know about web development. We have heard the term web development. So when we talk about web development, the two terms that come into play is front end and back end. So in this session, we'll be talking about what is backend, and we will learn to code our own server using Node.js, and we'll discuss about how it works. So in order to understand what actually backend is, we first need to understand that what is front end and how do they communicate with each other. Now the front end, which is also called the client side, is basically what happens in the browser, and this everything the end user sees and interacts with. This could be a simple login page, sign up page, or any website's page that you visit. But when we talk about backend, backend is the other side of the coin. This is what happens on the server and the database. And we also call this as server-side programming. And there is also machinery that works behind the scenes. So basically you can imagine everything that end user, that everything we can't see, we can only see the front end part. Back end is something that happens that doesn't happen in front of us. So to actually see like how front end and back end interact, let's take a basic example. So let's suppose I say that you go to a restaurant and you have a menu in your hand and you order something. Okay, so the menu will contain the list of items and the prices. So that is a front end for you guys to look actually how the menu looks like and what will be the things that will be available for you. Suppose now when you place your order, then there's a kitchen. So what is a kitchen actually? Kitchen is a place where the order goes and they take your order and make your food. So we can imagine it that menu is the front end part that you can see, but kitchen is a part that is hidden from you. You can't see what's happening inside it. So kitchen can be imagined as a back end part. But there is something still missing between them. There is a connection between the front end and back end. So in this picture, what is missing is it can be a waiter here. A waiter can act as a server that makes a relationship between front end and back end. So it is going to take the data from front end, going to give it to the back end, and then from the back end it is going to receive the response and then again serve it to the front end. So the waiter here acts as the server, and it is the communication channel between front end and back end. So we all know VTop, right? We all log into VTop daily. VTop is what? When we log in with a screen that says that enter your email, enter your registration number and password. So when you enter your registration number and password, what actually happens is there is something called as a server. So what will happen is, this is the server, and what will happen is the data, sorry. So what is going to happen is, VTOP, when you enter your registration number and password, VTOP is going to send your information to the server side software, and there it is a place where some data validation will take place that ensures that none of your fields are empty. You enter both the registration number and password, and it will also check that if it is valid or not. Then from there, the server side software will send this your details to the database. Database is a place where all your information, your name, registration number, password, or all your details are saved there. So what this server is going to do, it is just going to send your data that you have asked for to the database. So this in this database, what is it actually going to do? It will search for your credentials that you have searched for, that you have asked for. Database is going to fetch through all the information available there, and it is going to search your information. And then if it finds your information, then through the database, your information will be sent back to the server here. So at the server will collect all the information that is sent back by the database, and the server will it will partially give the output. It gives the output on the basis like what have you asked for. If on the front end page you only want to see your registration number to be displayed, then the server, from all the information, it will fetch your registration number and it will be sent back to the front end. So there you can see your registration number displayed. So this is the linkage between the server and database that the front end has. And we call the server and database together as the backend. And the VTOP screen that you see by logging in your credentials is what you call as front end. So now we know that what actually backend is and how is it related to front end, how the actual connectivity takes place. Now we'll be moving to what is an API. We all know that like we often hear that we'll be using this API, but we don't know what actually it is. The full form of API is Application Programming Interface, and you can say that API is something that helps us to connect seamless connectivity. We don't feel that we are getting connected so much, but API actually helps there. So in layman language, what I can say is API is a code written by someone else which we are using in our application by writing just one or two lines of code. So we're using their code. So I'll show you what actually it is. Suppose I say I have a Facebook. We all know about Facebook. So there is a Facebook infrastructure, and Facebook has their own database that contains all the information of users. There's Facebook, there is Twitter, there's Google. So let's say this is Google. So what is going to happen? We all know that Facebook and Google have their own database of users. So if we individually go to Facebook and Google and use them, that's okay. But what if I say I want to use the feature of Facebook and Google login in my own application? So let's say I create my own application. This is my application, and I want to provide my users with the feature of Facebook and Google login. So this how does this actually happen? So an API basically creates an open interface that I can connect to with my app. So what will it happen that the API will connect, the API will basically create an interface that I will connect with my app, and I can use that company's service. The company here will be Facebook or Google. So I'll be using that company's services and all the features, all the billion-dollar infrastructure that they have, I'll be using directly into my app by enabling the feature of login with Google and Facebook by using the API that we call as API. And each of these services have their own API that enable the connection. So And also there's a term called an API key that is used to monitor your activity. If you do like if you do try to change something and try to do malicious activities, your the API link will be blocked and you can't access Facebook and Google. So this is how the API works. And one more example of API, then we don't know that it is actually an example of API, but it is actually like while booking tickets of railways or aeroplanes, we go to GoIbibo or Make My Trip, and from there we select the Indigo flight and we book our tickets in that. But we never, like most of you do that. It is very rare that we go to the Indigo's official site and we try booking the tickets there. So what is actually happening, that the GoIbibo and the Make My Trip have the API for booking the tickets for the Indigo flights. So there is an interface that is being built, and through the interface, the GoIbibo can connect to Indigo flights, and we can book the same tickets like this with the same person who goes to the Indigo site and books the tickets from there. So this is what API is. So like this is the API that we're using from the third parties. Like the companies like Facebook and Google have their APIs, and we are consuming that APIs to do the login. But if my app, suppose I say this is my app, and it uses a backend server which provides the app with the content and user management, then we need to build our own API for our own backend servers. So like if we have our own backend server, we can also create our own API to do some activities within the application. So this was the part till API. So any one of you have any doubts, you're free to ask. Okay. If you have doubts, you can ask in the comment section. I'll be answering them. So now we learned what actually backend is and how is it related to front end and how do these things work together. And we also know what is an API and how do actually in the real world we use the APIs, but we are not aware of it. So now we will be going to the another section, that is we'll be building a Node.js server, our own server. So we don't need the Node.js server. We'll be just a minute. Yeah, for building that Node.js server, we'll require this Visual Studio Code as a text editor. And if you're new to Node.js, then you should surf Google and you should try downloading Node.js. So if you go to Node.js download, and if you click this link, then you can see like you can download it for your, like if you have Windows, your Mac, you can download it with respect to your system configurations. You can download Node.js. Then after you download Node.js, then we'll start like how we'll be creating our basic server. So before starting, I'll ask that if you have any doubts till now, you're free to ask. So okay, we'll be moving further. Now we'll be creating a Node.js server by using Express library, which is available in NPM. So NPM provides Node.js with many packages that makes our work easier. So with Node.js server, we can serve whatever our application needs. Like if you want to serve up HTML, CSS, or our client-side JavaScript, we can serve all the things up onto the Node.js server. So we will be using Express to create the server. So like when you open Visual Studio Code, you will see something like this, and then you can direct to your folder where you want to create this whole work. Then you need to create a new file. that says you can name it anything. I'll name it app.js. This is my JavaScript file open. So before starting with Node.js, I will just like to begin with an initial thing, that how to, like, suppose we all know C and C++. Like in C, if you want to print something, we do printf. In Python, if you want to print something, we do print and the thing that you want to print. So in JavaScript, the command that helps us to print a sentence or a word is console.log, and there in the quotes you can write any string, hello. Suppose you write hello and then you save it, and like Visual Studio Code has its own terminal. So you click on the terminal. If you want to create a new one, click on the new terminal, and then when you go here, now to run this app that we have, like, it's just a simple app, we are just printing hello message. To run this, we need to do node, then the name of the app. It can be anything. In my case, it's node app.js. So I'll run it and I'll see, if you can't see, I'll see that there's an output saying hello. This is what I printed here. So if you want to print out anything while testing out your code, you can use console.log and print whatever you want to print. So this was for printing. Now we are going to the main part for creating our own server using Express. So we are going to use Express. It's an NPM library. So for installing Express, we need to do npm install, or you can also do npm I also works and install also works. Npm I, then you need to write Express. So it is loading the Express module. Now you'll notice the change in this area, that earlier there was only app.js, which we could see. Now when I did npm install Express, we got these two things extra over here. So what are they actually? This node modules folder contains like most of the modules of npm that are helpful while working with the backend. And this node modules folder should not be altered by us, because like if you are not aware of these things, don't try to change it manually, because it can cause crash in your application and many other things won't work. And the second thing that you see here is package log.json. So what actually does this contain is it contains extra information which makes things faster and making npm extra secure. So it contains the exact version of all our dependencies that we are going to use in our in creating our server. So this is also what that you should not edit it yourself, otherwise errors can occur, and errors may occur and maybe your app can crash. So we did the initial startup things. Now we are actually going to create our own server. For that, we all know, like, when we create a variable, for creating a variable in C, suppose we want to create an integer type variable, we do int a. So it's an in data type of integer variable is a. So in JavaScript, what we do is we write var, and then we write the variable name. The variable name can be anything what I want to give. So I'm giving express here. Then if I write var express equals to, then I'm going to write require, and then the module express that I just loaded in. When I did npm install express, it loaded a module express that is available in my node modules folder, and using require, I am loading this express and I'm returning the value. Express is basically, it's a function. So require is basically loading all the details of express into this variable named express. I know that these names are same. You can name this variable anything, like express, not only express, you can name it anything, that will also work. So now my express contains all the contents of this module express that we installed now. So express is basically a function And if we want to create a new server, for doing that, we need to call this function. We need to call the express function. So I'm creating another variable called app. Then in that I'm calling the express function. So I call the express function. So that means that now I'm ready to start create my new server. So for that, we need to do something like, suppose if I say that I visit a page, suppose if I say I visit app.com, right? So app.com is a site that it is going to contain various, suppose it contains various routes, like it contains the about page, um, it is going to contain the about page, it is going to contain the help page and many other pages. So in a website there can be multiple routes. So if you visit a website and you want to visit all the web pages that are linked with multiple routes, we need to have like some functionality so that it goes to every route when you visit the main page of that website. So for doing that, um, so for actually set up a server and to send a response when someone tries to get something at a particular route, what we need to do is, um, we need to use app. This app is what we this app is the variable that we created here, and it contains the function call of express. So we need to do app dot get, and then what actually it is, app.get is going to let us configure what the server should do when someone tries to get the resource at a specific URL. Maybe we will be sending back HTML or JSON or like any format that it supports. So app.get is going to take two parameters. So the first parameter will be the route. I am going to open the colons as like the quotes, and then I'm going to specify my route. Suppose first of all I'm creating the landing page of the website, the main page. So it will not be having any route. Like I'm not going to create straight away help. I need to have a landing page first of all. So for specifying the landing page, you can leave it empty, or you can just make a slash simply. So I'm leaving it empty. And then the second parameter uh, is basically it's a function. So that is going to tell us what to do when someone visits this route, and this function describes what to send back to them. So this function is going to take two parameters, that is namely request. The request we are writing the short form of request as REQ, and then response. Response is the RES is the short form of response. Then we are going to create a function here. These are the parameters of the function, that is the second parameter of app.get. So this is request and this is response. So what is this request doing? Request is basically an object that is containing information about the incoming request to the server. So whatever the request is coming to the server, it is going to handle with that. And response, it contains the bunch of methods that is going to allow us to customize what to send back to the requester. So what we want to send back to the requester, it is a bunch of methods that is allowing us to customize our response. So now we are ready with this app.get and its two parameters. So this is going to be a landing page. So in a landing page, now let's send a basic simple string to our for landing page. So we need to do response. When if I am sending the response, then I need to use the res variable here. So I'll do res dot send, and then suppose I can type a string called hello. Hello, this is my this is the home page. So what I'm actually doing is, when the user visits the landing page of this application, then what actually I'm doing is, when it goes to this route, the main page, then I'm sending a response using res.send, and the response is a sentence that says hello, this is the home page. Okay, now so I'm ready with what to send when a user visits this page. But for doing that, I need to start the server up. And for starting the server up, I need to do app.listen. So this is basically, this app.listen is going to start the server up on the listen port. Like we need to specify the port on which we want our local host to start. So it is going to listen this app. It is going to start this app on port 3000. You can specify any port. I am using 3000. This is the second parameter that I am going to pass is a callback function. This parameter is optional. It's not necessary for you to pass. I'm just passing it so that whenever the server starts, we get an intimation that the server has started successfully. So as I told that if you want to console or if you want some specific messages to display to check if it's working properly or not, we can make the use of console.log. And in console.log, I'm going to say server started. So what is it actually? It is going to start my server on 3000 port, and if it starts successfully, then the callback function is going to return me this. If my server got started successfully, then I'll see a message saying server started in the terminal. Okay, so now let's clear this and then let's save this. So when I run this app using node app.js, it says server started. That means my server has successfully started. So I'm going to visit localhost 3000, and when we open it, this says that hello, this is the home page. So we have created the home page of our own application. So this is the home page. Suppose like every application, like every website that you visit, it doesn't only have the home page. There are multiple routes. As I stated, whenever you visit a website, you can have multiple routes there. So if you want to do the routing part in your application, what you need to do is create app.get again. Then in the first parameter where I left this blank, you need to add this route. Suppose I want to create an about route, then you can write about. You can write anything, any route name you like. I'm just doing it like I wrote it about. You can write it anything. Then I am naming this route as about. It will also take the same parameters. The function will also take the same parameters, request and response. Then in this, what I am going to do is, suppose I say the same thing, res.send about page. I'll save this, and then so if I don't want to restart my server again and again, what I can make use of is nodemon app.js. So when I enter this, you'll see this green and yellow lines. What is it actually going to do? Whenever you make changes in your application while coding, it is going to save, automatically restart the server again and again. So you don't need to quit and restart the server again. So this says server started. Now when I'm going to visit localhost, I'll refresh this. This is my home page. It is still available to me. And when I make the about route, then you can see this shows me the about page. So what have we actually done is when we have set up the express function, so it is going to look for the routes you are asking for, and then if it finds the same route, then it is going to send the data that you are sending here. So this was a simple res.send that I'm using to send a simple string there. So what if I want to send a like a full HTML file as my web page? So I can't state all the HTML code in this res.send part. It is only useful if I am sending certain small strings or sentences. So if I want to serve up an HTML file, what do I need to do is first we'll be covering about if I need to set up all my resources publicly to the server, then what do we need to do is app. First we have to make we can make a project directory name public. You can name it anything. You can name it public or anything you like. I'm naming it public. I'm naming this folder public, and this is going to contain the HTML file that I want it to be served as my home page, right? So I'm naming it index.html. So when I do index.html, you can see my HTML file is created. Now in HTML file, I'll be writing simple h1. I'll be writing in the h1 tag. I'll write the home page. Okay. I'll save it. And now what we are going to do this, we are going to make this directory that we created here, the public folder. We are going to serve this as publicly. Okay, we are going to serve this directly so that it becomes directly available for the server to serve the contents up through the server. So what I need to do is app.use, and then we are going to use express.static. What is it going to do is, it's basically we are this express.static is a function. We are calling it and passing its return value into use. So we are calling this function, and whatever it returns, we are passing that into use. So this will make up in static. I need to mention my folder's name that I stated here. So I made it as public. So I am writing public. Now, what is it actually going to do? This is a function that will return all the things that are being returned to use, and this use will, it is a way to customize the server. We are customizing the server by making all the things that are available in the public folder to the server directly. So suppose if I want that, let's comment this out. Suppose if I want that when I visit my home page, I don't want to use this rest.send. I want the contents from my index.html file to be served when I visit that page. So when I visit that page, what I need to change is, even if I don't write something here, when I save it and when I run it, it shows me the home page. Even if when it is happening even when I didn't write res dot something, I'm not sending a response, but still it is showing me when I am visiting the localhost 3000 page, then still it is showing me the contents that I had in my index.html. So why did this happen? Because it happened because I made my the public folder directly available to the server. So what is it gonna do? When we call our express function, it is going to serve all the contents of the public folder directly to the server. So even if I don't, when I visit the home page, so even if I don't send any response, it is going to send me the response of index.html. This is because index.html is a special file name. If we write index.html, that directly makes the express aware that it is going to be the contents of the home page. So it is going to directly serve all the contents of index.html to the local host 3000, which is the home page of my application. So this was a thing when you want directly to be served by using express.static. And the other way, if we want that whenever we visit a route, we want the HTML file to be served, the other way to do is res.send file, and then what we do is we need to specify what actually is the path where our index.html is present. So in we have a function, we have a command called directory name. It will this underscore dir name, what it does, it gives me the directory that I'm currently working in. So it is going to give me the directory. And then I just need to provide send file the exact location where my index.html is located. So to do that, underscore directory name, then I need to concatenate it with slash public, because underscore directory name gives me that I am in the webinar folder. Okay, so but my index.html is in a folder which is a subfolder in webinar that is called public. So and then I have to write public, and then I'll write index.html. So it is still going to do the same thing even if I make the changes. We'll restart it, then you can see we are getting the same response as we got earlier. Now if I want, we can comment, like remove the comments, and like the same thing I can do here. While if I want to test it, I can do res.send file, and then underscore directory name plus the slash public and slash about.html that I didn't create till now. I'll be creating it in public. In public folder, you create another file named about.html, and in about.html you can again give something in h1 tag that says this is an about page. Save it, and then save this file also. You can see whenever we make changes, the server gets restarted automatically. So this is a feature of NodeMon. Now, if I refresh it again, I can see this same home page. And then when I visit the about route, we can see the about page. That shows that this is another way if I want to serve my directly the HTML file onto the server. So we did this. Whatever we did till now was something called a static. Our application is static till now. This web page is static till now. Even if I refresh it 1,000 number of times, the things that the contents that are present on this page are going to remain the same. They won't change. So this page is static. So suppose if I say I want to add some like I want to style this page, and I add CSS, then still I want the CSS to be served as publicly, so that I can make the use of that CSS styles in my application directly because it is served publicly. Okay, so in CSS, suppose if I make a file style.css, and then I say that in index.html I add an h1 tag, and that's at home page, and I want to style my h1 tag. So I'll write this, and I can say that I want to give the color as blue, and then I save it, and then we need to link this CSS file into our HTML page so that the style that we want to make gets incorporated into the HTML page. So I need to use link, and then in href what we need to do is we don't need to actually write slash public and all that. We don't need to write slash public because the public folder is already served up using the express.static function. It is already available to my server to serve up all the contents that it has. So if I write public again here while specifying the file path, it will not work. The styles that I'm trying to incorporate will not be incorporated. So since it is already available to the server, all I need to do is I need to do like I have this public folder already. Then I only need to do is like I need to go to the CSS folder, and then in that style.css. So I'm going to save this, and I'm running it again. Then if I refresh it, okay, there is an error. Why is it not getting connected? Okay, this was my about page. I didn't add any styles to the about page. I'm sorry. So I didn't add any styles to the about page. So when I go to my home page back again, I can see that the CSS styles have been added and my text is available in blue color right now. So this is how we serve things publicly that are directly available to this server. The public folder was directly available to the server to incorporate all the things that we want to serve on the web server. So now this was static. Now if I say I want to make everything dynamic, making dynamic means that if I change, like if something gets changed, then it should be shown into my web page. Like suppose it shows my website shows the stock market rate, and if they get changed, all the changes should be affected. It should be reflected on my web page. So for doing that, so if I want to make a dynamic page, then we are gonna use a template engine. So a template engine basically provides us the facility to make our web pages dynamic. So I'm going to use a template engine. I'll be using a template engine called Handlebars. So what Handlebars does it? They help us to render dynamic documents into a web page. So for doing that, I'll stop the server. Since I want to use handlebars now, so I need to install the npm package for handlebars. Handlebars in short can be written as HBS. So I'm doing npm install HBS. So it is going to install the handlebars package into my node modules folder. So when I hit enter, it is going to load the files. Now the packages have been added. So to set up handlebars as my template engine, what I need to do is I need to do app.set. Now what is it gonna do is that in the first parameter I need to write the view engine, and then I need to write the handlebars. The short form is HBS. Then what I'm doing is I'm setting the view engine as handlebars. So this is going to be my template engine, which will be helping me to make my pages dynamic. So after doing this, then let's create just a minute. Now when we use handlebars, this expects that if we want to serve, if we want to have handlebar dynamic templates, then it expects that all the templates should be available to it in a specific folder. So it recognizes a different folder that we need to create if we want to make dynamic templates. So we need to create a folder called views. This folder views is directly recognized by the when we set up the view engine, and then when we set up the view engine, it is going to look for the views folder, and then it is going to look for the various templates that we have in view folder, and then if the template is present in the views folder, then only we can access the template in our web page. So in view folder, let's create a template called let's say home.hbs. Now I'm going to replace the home page of my application with from static, and I'm going to make it dynamic. So when we create a file in views, we need to provide the extension as HBS, because the template engine for making the dynamic content is handlebars, and it's written as HBS. So like I am going to directly paste what all I had in my index.html file, because I am replacing the static file content with the dynamic file content. Now in home.hbs, I have the same thing, but what the difference is going to be, let's suppose, just a minute, say this and go back here. Then I am on my home page, and what I want is the things to be dynamic. So I erase this statement off, and then I'll go to a new statement that says I want to render res.render. That says that I want to render a file in my views folder, and then we need to provide the name of the file that we want to render. Like for the home page, I have made the file home.hps. I'm writing home here. We don't need to write the extension here because it understands just by giving the same name of the file that we created here. We do res.render home. Okay, so when we do res.render home, and this is all saved. Now let's do the start the server again. So server started. When we go back here and I refresh it, I don't see any change because till now I have not inserted any dynamic data into my web page. What I can see is that yes, my render, like the way I have rendered the home page as a template, it is working the same as it worked when I was doing my making my web page statically. So now I need to make it different. Like I need to show like how is it different from static and how is it different from making the web page static and making the web page dynamic. So for that, what am I gonna do is, yeah, I'm going to pass the data in the object form what I want to be injected in my HTML file. See, I don't have any hard-coded data. Like suppose if I write my name Navya here, then obviously it's hard-coded, right? So if I run, like I start the server again, it is going to show me the data, like the data will be static there because it's hard-coded. So, but I don't want it that way. I want it whatever I want the name to be rendered, I'm going to provide it in my object as this is a second parameter for the render. I'm going to pass it and I'm going to say my name. This is the key and I'm going to provide a value to it. This is the key value pair and you can name it anything, not the name. You can give it any, like you can give it message or name, whatever you want. This is my key and I'm going to write name as Navya. Then what am I doing is when I render my home page, like the render my template available in views folder, then I am dynamically injecting my name over there instead of hard coding it in the HTML file. So since I have passed an argument that says that I'm passing name Navya, but I want something that recognizes that something has been passed. So I want something that should receive the data in HTML. So what I'm going to do is, for doing that, for accessing what we have passed, we need to do it in this format. Like you have to make two curly braces, and within them you write name. Name is going to be, you have to write the same thing that you have made the key here. Whatever your key is here, you need to write the same thing in curly braces over here. That I want my name that I am passing here to be injected in my data here. I'll save this. Server restarted. And see if I refresh it. Why is it not making any change? Just a minute, I'm looking for what, why is it not being shown there? This is the home page. I made it available here. See now, what the error was, it was not an error. It was just making the things confused because I have already used express.static. That means that tells my server that I have made the public directory available directly to it. So what is it going to look for? It is going to look for a file name index.html. That index.html is a special file. So whenever you visit the home page, it is automatically going to serve that index.html file. So I deleted that file because I'm using the templates to render my home page now. So when I did that, you can see my name that I passed directly got injected in my HTML file, and I can see my name over here. So another thing that I want to show you is, suppose like we can also make this data that we are passing to be conditional. Like suppose if I give an array like this, I type 1, I give 2, and I type 3. So okay, this is my array, and now what I'm doing is I want another key value pair to be passed. Like I'm passing this array as here. Now with my name, I'm also passing the array that I have here to my home.hbs file. So now if I want to see this array that I have passed over here, we can do something like if else conditioning. If I say that if this is a syntax for doing the conditioning within the HBS file, if I say if array, that means array here is what the value of key is here. This is the key, and this directly needs to be referenced here. So it says that if array, that means if array is existing, like if it has some content, if its length is not 0, then if array, then for each array, that means that for each element in array, I'm going to display each element. Like suppose I am going to display it in a p tag. Then for referencing the contents of that array, I need to use this. I need to use this. This is going to reference to each and every content present in that array. So after I do this, I need to close each, and then I need to close my if. Okay, so this means that let's say I have my array which has a length of 3, which has 3 elements in it, and I'm passing the array dynamically. Okay, so when my browser, like when I start the server, when then it reads this page, it will look that if array is present, like if it has some length greater than 0, then it will display for all the elements. For each element in array, it is going to display the values of that element. So let's see, it is going to work. I start the server. See, you can see, since my array was not empty, it had 3 elements in it. Now when I visit this page, it shows me 1, 2, and 3. That means that all the elements of the array are like, it's like looping. You're looping each and every element of the array and displaying it. Okay, so okay, so if suppose I want to show you one thing, suppose if I make it array as empty. Okay, so if I make the array as empty, and if the array is empty, that means that this condition is not satisfied. The length of the array is 0. So let's make something that says else. So in else part, I'm going to say that no data found. Okay, so that means that now there is no content in my array, that means it has length 0. So when I go to this condition, it is going to read this statement, and it is going to return false because the array has no contents in it. So it should go to the else part, and it should display this, that no data found. So now look, let's restart the server again. Let's see. See, now since my array was empty here, it has no values in it, so it didn't satisfy the first condition, and it went to the else part that said no data found. So this is a like basic step that how we can inject data dynamically using templates. Here I use handlebars, it's a template engine, and then using that we can make our web pages dynamic, and we can insert data that keep on changing so that it will get reflected into my web page. So this was a basic start of learning backend. I am done with the things. If you guys have any doubts, you are free to ask me. I made you guys aware with how to like serve data statically and how to make dynamic web pages. And this is the way, like, you created your own server kind of a thing where you had your home page, where you had like your routes. This is one route that I made. With the same code, you can make another route that can, it may be like help and something, and you can use the rendering or like serve the HTML file statically. It's up to you. So in this way, you can make the this is a center page, and these are the routes. So you can make multiple routes, and you need to start up the server at a specific port using app.listen. Without this, your application won't work because your server won't know that on which port is your application active. So this part is very important if you want to see your application running. I'm done with my things. If you guys have any doubts, you're free to ask. So, okay, since anyone is not asking anything, I assume that you must have taken something from this webinar. So I'll be ending this webinar. Thank you for watching.